So for the first time in decades, we have 3 United States aircraft carrier strike groups operating in the Middle East. Look at it's pretty crowded in there. Check out the amazing array of U.S. firepower that is all around the Middle East right now. More than 200 aircraft plus 15,000 sailors and Marines. The Pentagon gave us a briefing earlier today reminding Iran, and it's pretty evident here, there's really no place to hide.
We're closely tracking vessels of interest headed towards Iran and those moving away from Iran that were outside the blockade area when this blockade was ordered. And as everyone saw this past weekend, we're prepared and postured to intercept them.
Iran knows that they still have an open window to choose wisely. The choice is theirs, but with this blockade, the clock is not on their side.
And Mark Meredith is joining us live at the White House this morning with more on this. Hi, Mark.
Bill, good morning to you. Happy Friday. The White House says it has both the time and resources to keep the U.S. blockade of both Iranian ports and ships in place. But when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, the administration also very eager to see cargo traffic move through at a more normal pace, while at the same time, the president is threatening Iran and its proxies not to interfere.
Iran has an important choice, a chance to make a deal, a good deal, a wise deal. As part of that effort, the United States has imposed an ironclad blockade that grows more powerful by the day. From the Gulf of Oman to the open oceans, our Navy is enforcing this blockade without hesitation or apology.
The Secretary's comments coming one day after the president posted online that he had ordered the Navy to shoot and kill any of the boats that are putting mines in the waters of the Strait of Hormuz, that there would be no hesitation. Well, that's the military front. When it comes to peace talks, some new developments today as the Pakistanis first announced that Iranian officials, including Iran's top diplomat, will be heading to Islamabad this weekend for additional talks. We're looking to see what the U.S. reaction may be to that. It's unclear if this is going to be the pivotal change in negotiations, but it all comes as new polling from Fox shows where Americans are focused on. And believe it or not, it's not Iran. Instead, it's about inflation and prices. Democrats this week say they plan to hammer that message home.
Iran's in a stronger position now than it was before Donald Trump started his reckless war of choice. And the American people are worse off, particularly as it relates to the skyrocketing gas prices.
Gas prices, of course, top of mind. AAA says the national average over $4 a gallon right now. We'll see if the president has any more to say about these new potential talks in Pakistan. He's going to be heading out of D.C. just for one night, Bill, but back here tomorrow for the Correspondents' Dinner. Bill.
All right, we shall see what the weekend brings. Mark Meredith, live at the White House. Mark, good to see you.
So as we've been reporting, Iran's leadership is deeply fractured. And we'll see who shows up for this meeting that is said to be in the plans now. There's the official power structure, such as it is. I mean, who's actually running the show? Moshtaba, you see at the top. Remember, Khomeini, his father, ruled for 37 years, and he seemed to have the ability to keep all of these disparate groups sort of in line. That doesn't appear to be happening right now. Watch this.
They have all new leadership, and they're fighting like cats and dogs for who's going to control. Because we've created a real mess for them.
Fox News contributor Dan Hoffman, former CIA chief of station. Dan, it's always great to have you with us. And you have a lot of, as always, a lot of really interesting thoughts on where this is going next. One of the things that you have said is that we need to get the escalation advantage back in terms of the military stance that the United States is taking. When you look at that chart, you see those 3 carrier strike force groups. Is that being achieved?
I think we certainly have the potential to achieve that. Look, Iran is cognizant that the United States military is going to win every single military engagement. But what Iran wants to do is exhaust us politically and economically and try to win the peace when and if we ever get there. The Strait of Hormuz, for sure, is the flashpoint. We've imposed a pretty strong blockade. Iran has dropped reportedly 20 mines in the Strait this week. That changes the calculus of any ship that wants to get through. And U.S. military defense officials testified this week that it might take as many as 6 months to demine the Strait of Hormuz. So that's all to Iran, at least in their mind, their advantage. And I don't know that they're in a hurry to really get to negotiations right now. I think they're testing the United States to see whether we're serious about achieving escalation dominance. Now, President Trump has responded by saying we don't have a timeline, and we're going to increase our military assets in the region and in the Strait and continue to take the fight to Iran. So I think that's where we stand right now, with the United States seeking to gain that advantage.
Yeah, you also said, Dan, that they relish a fight with what they call the Great Satan. And if they can just survive it, it's almost like you think of, cockroaches or, like things that just want to stick around, and that is the entire motivation. And we heard from Pezeshkian and Araghchi saying, we're all on the same page. We're all for the survival of Iran. So when you hear that there's this meeting happening, and now they're saying they're going to send a small delegation, which I thought was interesting, because last time they sent about 30 people and they were all fighting with each other in the room. So obviously they figured out that's not a good look. Do you think this is going to be all about Araghchi? Do you think that Gallup is out of the picture? What's your assessment of how much power these negotiators really have, Dan?
I think right now they are subservient to the IRGC because Iran is at war with the United States, and the IRGC is taking the lead in conducting that war. Foreign Minister Araghchi is going to lead this delegation reportedly to Pakistan. The United States is not included in these discussions. I think in the backdrop of this, Iran is probably probing to see where the United States stands. How serious are we about negotiating? Are we in a rush to get to a deal? Remember, for Iran, it's about regime survival. It's also about demonstrating resilience to their proxy terrorists, Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, demonstrating that they have staying power, that they can go toe-to-toe with what they call the Great Satan. So I'm not so sure Iran is necessarily in a rush to get to a deal. And remember, they're going to want a deal that's not even as good as the JCPOA. I think that's going to be the challenge for us, is to force Iran to make a deal that we want on their nuclear program, ballistic missiles, and their support to proxy terrorists, something better than the Obama administration negotiated in 2015.
You also say that there's no sign that there is a popular uprising coming in Iran. And it feels like all of this dynamic that gets dragged out over time, it doesn't really change if the IRGC stays in control, does it?
Yeah, I think that the question at the beginning of this war was, could we change the regime? Well, we didn't. We decapitated the regime by killing the Ayatollah, but we didn't necessarily change the regime. Did we, or could we change the regime's behavior? I think that's still an unanswered question, and it may take some time before we arrive at an answer. I am sure that Director of CIA Ratcliffe is pulsing all of our sources inside Iran to determine just how serious the Iranians are about their negotiating strategy, what their plans and intentions are, so that the president can make the most educated foreign policy decisions.
Yeah, well, our intelligence has been pretty astute in this entire conflict, and we'll keep watching. Dan, thank you very much. Dan Hoffman.
Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.